Hello everyone, it's Piet here from the FCC and welcome to the first episode of WElearn from a very hot and sunny Juma Game Reserve, the Wild Earth theme here. I tried to use the radio mic, but for some reason that's not working, so I'm just going to use the normal mic. And I look forward to sharing this first episode of WElearn with every one of you. And I hope this will be the start of a long series of very interesting interactions with all you viewers. Before I start off, I would just like to take the chance here to also introduce a couple of other shows that we start this week. Summer is coming, all animals are starting to become more active, and we at Wild Earth are no exception to that. So apart from WeLearn starting today, tomorrow we have a first WeChat show called, where typically the presenters after the morning drive will come at 10:30 to 11:30. And they will chat a bit about what they saw in the morning drive. And the idea with the new chat function on the website that we have is that it's going to be very interactive and that questions that you viewers have will be answered live, and it will be more like a conversation or a chat with the presenter. So that starts tomorrow. And then on Thursday, something we're all very excited about is our first live bushwalk with Peter Pretorius, which starts at 9:30. So lots of new things going on this week. I have the honor to kick it off. If you see me sweating, I'm a little bit nervous, I must admit, but also Peter just told me it's 38 degrees outside here, so it's a bit of both, I guess. Doing what we learn. When we were talking about new ideas to get more content in during the day, this was one idea that came up, and I immediately liked it because I'm always interested in, let's say, the smaller things, the things that you don't see so easily on a game drive, but things that you need to walk into the bush or really pay attention to. And that is something by its nature that is difficult to see on our drives, because by the time the camera has switched to it, then either the bird has flown off or the little lizard has already moved on. So this show we're going to focus on, let's say, the smaller things, maybe the more difficult to see. And I don't want to make it a show with too much, let's say, statistics about this bird has so many eggs and things like that. Those are things that you can find in a book. But I want to make it more interesting in a sense, to talk about behavior, the roles of birds in their environment, and some, if we talk about eggs, then maybe we talk about the different shapes and colors of eggs and how that relates to the bird's lifestyle, whether they nest on the ground or they nest high up. Lots of those things. Try to put it in kind of like a bigger picture. So I'm quite excited about this. I hope you all are as well, and that we will have a nice interaction. The format of this show, both the content-wise, but also how we're going to do it in a technical sense, is something that will develop over the first couple of weeks. And also from that, the best way for us to develop that is if we get feedback from you, the viewers, about the things that you like about the show and what you don't like about the show as well, or what you think could be better. So we look forward to interacting with all of you on that. On that matter, thanks already for those that have sent in questions for the first episode. That was really nice to see that there was already an interest in that, and I hope we can build on that. A couple of people have also asked about recording the show, and because especially for the people in the US and on the American continent, the time zone is not so good. I'm sure it'll be recorded. I'm sure some viewers will probably record it, and we also from our side will look into what we can do in that sense. But I don't have a definite answer on that one yet. Well, having said that, let me just quickly change a couple of settings here so we can start with the topic for this day. Okay, now you only see half a screen, so that means that it's working. Just give me 1 second. It is very hot here. There's something, we need to get a fan or something in here, especially if we have to do a show at 2 o'clock. But anyway, the way I want to do this, I've prepared some visuals. Try to keep it simple. And what I want to do is to keep the top screen will be me talking, whereas the bottom half of the screen will be the visuals. At the same eye, we'll also keep an eye on the waterhole once in a while. If something interesting should pop up, we can always interrupt WeLearn for a little bit and learn something about what is going on at the waterhole, and then continue a bit later. So having said that, let's get started. As we told you already, the show is called WeLearn, which means that together we will learn new things. We also stands for Wild Earth. So this is a show about learning things. It's not called We Study or We Research. It's supposed to be still light-hearted and easy to digest, but still with interesting facts, and so that we pick up things, and because they're interesting, we will remember without actually studying for it. That's the idea behind the show. So, well, when we came up with that, it said, "Don't sweat the small stuff, love it," because we do. Well, I didn't know it was going to be so hot here about the sweating thing, but okay, that's that's more of a coincidence there. Anyway, the idea is that it's not difficult or creepy, or snakes are not scary in that sense. They're very interesting in their own regard. So they've got a right to be loved as much as the iconic species like the leopard or the elephant or other things. And we definitely do love them. And we hope that we can transfer that love to all you viewers as well. So today's show, as was announced, is called What's That Bird? And the reason for that is that a lot of people are interested in birds. I myself am quite an avid birder. And as you learn about birds, in South Africa there are about between 900 and 1,000 different species. That can be quite overwhelming. I think, how can I distinguish all those birds and all those other things? But with just letting a couple of pointers and just starting it, it's actually quite easy to maybe not identify every species of all the birds that look alike, but to already make quite a big inroads into bird identification. So that's a bit of what we want to focus on today. We're going to use a couple of examples of 4 birds that you can see on the game drives or at the waterhole here. We're not going to go into detail too much about each bird. The idea is more to give a general overview of how you can actually, what to look for and how to try to identify a little bird. And at the end of the show we'll have a little challenge for our viewers. It's also 3 birds that you can see here on the game drives or the waterhole. And then it's up to you to identify them, and I hope you will post your answers in the forum for this show. So let's move on. Suppose you're on a game drive with Peter or Rexon, or if you ever come to South Africa and the vehicle is driving on, and you look left and right, and you just see a glimpse of a bird like this. You just see the silhouette. The bird flies off, or the vehicle moves on. As the game drive goes and you watch for the elephants and the lions, there's a couple more that you see, but you don't get quite good looks at it. There might be another one that looks a little bit like this, and then if you go on, you can see this one is pecking on the ground, looking for little food bits, and then on a big branch high up in a tree you might see a big bird like this. So now you come back and you wonder, what were these birds? I don't know much about birds, how can I see them? But as you probably saw, just even now with the black outlines, you could already actually recognize some characteristics of those birds. And in birding circles, something like that is called GIS, which stands for General Impression of Shape and Size, which I personally think it's a bit a limiting description, because there's much more than shape and size. But that's what people call it, and if they talk about general bird identification, the word GIS, spelled in many different ways, will often pop up there. So let's now put all those birds together here. Let's say you come back to the lodge and you say, what birds did you see? Somebody asked, and they said, well, I saw this one bird that looked like a pigeon. I would assume most of you would have recognized that the third bird from the left is actually looks like some kind of pigeon or a dove. And there was one that looked a bit like a skinny parrot, but with a much smaller beak, the one on the left, for instance. And there was one that looked like an eagle of some kind, and then one, I'm not sure what it was, but it looked like they had quite long tail streamers. So you see, even in picking up those silhouettes, for each of the birds you've already identified a small characteristic. And that can help you in already identifying what family it belongs to, or what species, or what kind of bird it actually is. Even if you don't know anything yet about the color or other things.